So we have some more details regarding the DC shooting, and I'll just say this. I have a lot of questions. I want to share my thoughts. I want to get yours as also because some of these things coming out are very strange. So for example, this is from Fox News. It says, shot on the street, U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro says the National Guard members Sarah Beckstrom, 20, and Andrew Wolf, 24, were sworn in less than 24 hours before the attack and both remain in critical condition. So first, I just want to make it clear. I hope both Sarah and Andrew make it through. I think they're still in the hospital. Sarah's 20 and Andrew's 24. The reason why I'm bringing this up first is this was on the front page of Fox News right now. And it just says, breaking news, authorities say wounded troops were sworn in less than 24 hours before the ambush, okay? And what just sticks out to me is they're sworn in less than 24 hours, so are we saying these are like fresh recruits essentially? And are we also saying that they have no training? And I'm just saying this from, right? If you're just sworn in, it's just very strange, and then suddenly you're out on patrol. I don't know what to make of that. So this is what Fox News is running. They're also pushing to put more soldiers on the streets. It says 500 more National Guard. We will not be intimidated as a country. This is from Bondi. Again, they repeated also on Fox News, 2 National Guard members shot in D.C. were sworn in less than 24 hours before. That part is so strange to me. And she even says on the video, if you want to watch it, you can. I'm just telling you what it is. And then this was reported other places and also Fox News, because you want to check everywhere. They said alleged National Guard shooter was vetted by the CIA in Afghanistan, granted asylum under Trump. And so this is something I've told you guys before, right? Look at everything. Other things that stood out to me regards to the shooter. So they're saying, and there's some details that are really strange. Like I think he lived in Washington, and they're saying he drove across the country. And this is on a holiday, which is also, the whole thing is strange. And he has kids, I think, as well. I'll show you. It says, D.C. shooting suspect worked with the CIA in Afghanistan. Afghan national Ramana Lakanwal, suspected in shooting of 2 National Guard members, faces charges of assault with intent to kill. And then the other thing I was thinking as well, like just, playing it through, chances are if you're going to do this kind of thing, you would probably target, politician or something like that, right? So I don't know why you would drive all the way across the country just to go after fresh recruits. I don't really make any sense to me. And Trump's not even DC right now. And then I want to go through the details, but things aren't adding up for me. Now, sometimes things are just strange in the world and it doesn't make any sense, right? But you do want, and they still haven't said anything about motives or anything like that. So that's why I have questions. It says the suspect arrested in the shooting of the 2 National Guard members in D.C. worked with the CIA-backed military units during the U.S. war in Afghanistan, the agency said. And there's a video floating around of Trump back in 2019, basically thanking Afghan translators for help. So Trump's going to pretend like he never liked anyone from Afghanistan or like that. It's just simply not true. You can find videos on that stuff. So there's that. But this person would have been a U.S. ally. I mean, it's just, you could see it. I mean, he worked with the CIA. So strange. Afghan national Ramana Lakanwal, 29, okay, will face charges with 3 counts of assault with intent to kill after allegedly ambushing the National Guard members near the White House on Wednesday afternoon. And I do want to see the video eventually. If there's any sort of CCTV video that comes out, you want to see this stuff for yourself, because you never know with Trump people, right? I think it's reasonable to say. The National Guard members named Sarah Beckstrom, 20, and Andrew Wolf, 24, remain in critical condition. Jeanine Pirro, DC's U.S. attorney, said in a briefing on Thursday, if either National Guard member dies, Lakanwal will face first-degree murder, Pirro said. Quote, if one of them is to pass, and God forbid that happens, this is a murder one, period, end of story. Lakanwal, this is the story then. Lakanwal drove across the country from his home in Washington State And if you're familiar, for those of you familiar with the map, so Washington State's way on the west coast, and Washington D.C. is way on the east coast. So it's a long drive. It takes like maybe 4 to 5 days to drive across the country. And I've driven across the country. I'm from Oregon, so I know what it means to drive all the way across. So it doesn't, and you're doing this on a holiday and you have kids. It just seems strange when you put the pieces together. So they're saying he drove all across the country. He approached a group of National Guard near the White House and fired several rounds with a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. So it's like a handgun, right? So it's not a rifle, not a if you're going to go after, say, just for example, if the person going after like the president or something like that, you would most likely have some sort of sniper rifle or something like that. Not necessarily, I don't know. I just that also, and then they were saying, I mean, they only mentioned this weapon, so that part seems strange to me also. Who knows? Fellow troops engaged the suspect and he remains in an area hospital under heavy guard. Quote, this was not just an attack. It was a direct challenge to law and order in our nation's capital. The FBI is investigating as an act of terrorism. And depends how you want to define that. That's what they're saying. Lakwinal came to the U.S. in September 2021 after the American withdrawal from Afghanistan. FBI Director Kash Patel said during the briefing the suspect had worked with the U.S. government during the war, including Central Intelligence Agency in Kandahar. So I'm assuming the shooter then would know a lot of people in the U.S. government. I mean, it would be clearly so. I would think, or I don't have to say a lot. They would know some people. It's a better way to say it. And it's always again any of these kind of things. That's why I'm showing you exactly what I'm looking at. But this stuff doesn't add up to me because like here's where it doesn't. A lot of things don't make sense. Authorities believe Lakwinal lives in Bellingham, Washington. So I've been there. Actually, I know exactly where this is. It's in Washington State, with his wife and 5 children. And that part doesn't add up to me. So we're talking about on a holiday week. This is Thanksgiving. You have 5 kids, and you drive all the way from Washington State to D.C. Sure, and I should be honest. Sure, the person could just be crazy. Something snapped with them, whatever. But usually in that situation, wouldn't that be more like, like a one-day thing, not like, hey, I'm going to drive across the country kind of thing. It's like you might cool off on the way. I don't know. That part is very strange to me. They're also saying here, law enforcement raided a property in the state overnight and confiscated numerous electronic devices. Okay, so curious what that stuff's going to be if we ever find out, the details of that. The Federal Bureau of Investigation was following a lead linking Lakwinal to an address in San Diego. Okay, so now he's linked to a couple different addresses here. That's why I said there's a lot of questions about this. Now that more information is coming out. Beckstrom and Wolf were members of the West Virginia National Guard working in D.C. over Thanksgiving. They, quote, volunteered to put their lives on the line for people they don't even know. The pair are sworn in less than 24 hours before the incident. And again, I just want to make it really clear. I hope they make it through. So I always want to be clear on that. And I don't want to any of these situations. You always remember that these are people. You're also talking about kids who are missing a father, right? I know some people don't like to talk about that stuff. You want to demonize everyone, but just these are all human beings. And my goal here when we ever have these conversations is get to the truth of the matter, and also how can we figure out ways that we can live together peacefully. That's my end goal here. But I am concerned some of the stuff doesn't add up to me. Reached by phone Thursday morning, Jason Wolf, Andrew's father, said, "Please pray for my son. We want prayers." The Wolf family lives in Lower Shenandoah Valley in a small town of West Virginia. And Andrew graduated from Muslim High School and played varsity baseball. This is a little bit more coming in and just a little bit more details. It says here they were shot at 2:15 while patrolling a busy area near the White House complex. Officials said that they were apparently ambushed. D.C. Muriel Bowser called it a targeted shooting. Homeland Security Secretary said the suspect entered the U.S. in 2021 on the resettlement that accompanied the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. And then they were saying here before, again, I was saying that they worked with the CIA and then got asylum under Trump. So It's both Biden and Trump. Some people are going to say it's only one or the other. It's the same, but it's not necessarily an issue of just all immigrants are bad, therefore you cut off immigration. I already talked about it in the last video. Right now, I'm interested in the facts of what's happening because it's happening so quickly. They want to escalate the amount of troops and the people who were shot in this situation. There's some facts there that doesn't make sense to me, particularly they're saying they're sworn in within 24 hours. And then the facts about the shooter, at least that they're saying at the moment, doesn't add up. Why would someone who's got 5 kids on a holiday week drive across the country so you're away from your kids, and then to just go shoot new recruits? It doesn't. And like I said before, I concede some people are just kind of crazy, right? So sure, but I don't know. Things don't add up for me, and that's why I just want to point out with you. I just read through this, and I was, talk with my wife, Yeji. You guys know Yeji on the channel, and she's like, it doesn't make sense to her either. I go, like, you just have an honest conversation about this stuff. This stuff doesn't make sense, and I don't know, and they haven't sent a motive yet or anything. So that's just wanted to lay this out. What I've seen. If you guys have heard anything else, you can let me know. And what do you make sense of the stuff that we know about this? I'd like to hear your thoughts, and that's just want to have a conversation about it. Please stay safe out there, and I'll catch you in the next video.